So let's create a new project again. Week 4, exercise 3. Okay, in that exercise 3, what we would like to do is, what is this? No, this. So write a program that prints the temperature of the water and then displays solid if the temperature is 0 or below, vapor when the temperature is greater or equal to 100, and liquid otherwise. So, well, the main, let me just stop this. The main thing is that we need to read the temperature. So again, reading means a scanner. Scanner means that we need to use the import java.util.scanner and then give it a name just to change. Would be reader. How about that? Some kind of like a new name. Reader is equal to new scanner. No. System.in. And then what I need to do is. Sorry? Equal? Yeah, this one. Yeah, the mouse was hiding. Now I need to name a variable to be able to read the temperature. Notice that I always, I noticed some of you that just give some kind of a short name, temp or T or N1. I don't know what N1 means, but try to always use some kind of very clearly understandable variable names. That if you just read it, it's going to be very clear what this is meant for to be. Because now the more we advance, the many variables are going to be used, and then if you have just A, B, C, D, and A plus B is equal, it's not going to be really easily understandable. It's better if you just put the full name. The drawback is that you have to type more, but again, NetBeans can help you in this typing because it can minimize the amount of typing. You can just use, for example, as out for system.out.println, then it's going to print please or whatever, please enter the temperature, and then what is that? And then I can just, I prefer to have it in one line, and then I can just use temp and control space. Here it goes. I mean, the NetBeans is going to continue for you. So it's not typing that much though, but if you're using this really interesting and straightforward name for a variable, it's going to be much easier for you to follow up what this variable is, where is it used, and how it is working, and it can clearly, easily understand the code. Yes? What's the problem with it being very long?
Yeah, the word temperature.
Yes, but still, you're not typing it all. It just control space helps you fit it all. But this is my personal preference. Yes. Can you make it double? Well, yes. Why not? Does something mention what kind of data type I'd like to use? No. So yeah, you can use double, and let's use double just for fun. So the temperature, because it can be double. And let's just read the double. Now, I read the double. What I need to do, I need to display something. Now, what I need to display is, depending on what's this value, it's going to be 3 different cases. Now, these 3 different cases, they all have like these borders. What are the borders? 0 is one of them. Because before 0, below 0, there's some kind of case. This is one case. If you look at this as these are the different possible values. These possible values, they have like 3 borders and 2 borders. Like here, let me just mention something. This is 0. I don't know if this makes sense, but this is 0, and then this might be, let's say, 100. So in between, so if this is below 0, that's going to be solid. If it's above 100, this is vapor, and otherwise this is going to be something like this. Yeah, I can put it as a comment, so it's going to be much easily. Okay, so now if I put something like this, I need to ask a question. Now in the exercise that we did before, we had only two cases. At 60%, is it above 60, we say congratulations. Less than 60, we say too bad. But now we have like two values to test. Which ones are we going to use? Well, it doesn't matter. We just need to ask one question, and based on that question, I'm going to be asking the second question. Now let me just show you what I mean. Now my first question is, and I always advise you to do the same thing. Always start from clearing the right, from the right to the left. Well, you can do the same thing from left to right, but because we always start from the right, so it's much more convenient. So I'm always clearing what's on the right. So what I mean with that here, for example, above 100 I should display vapor, right? And inside here I should display liquid. And inside the last part is solid. Now if I'm going from the right to the left, I need to let's just put something like this so it follows this. So I need to clear the display vapor. What would be the question that will make me display vapor? I know that vapor is going to be displayed when the temperature is greater or equal to 100. So I can start with that. I can say that if, again, by using NetBeans, if, and then press tab, I'm going to get the help that displays the whole pattern of the if. So if temperature, control space, and then is greater or equal to 100, then I'm going to display vapor. Now, if this is the case, if it's true, if the question of this first question, if temperature greater than 100, is it greater than 100? If it's true, I have one scenario. What if now this is false? Can I display one item, like solid or liquid, or one of them? Or I don't know which situation I'm going to be in. For example, if the temperature is -2, this is going to become false. And in that case, -2, I should display solid. But if the temperature is 50, is this true? No, it's going to be false. So both cases are going to be false, but both cases are going to be resulting in different messages to be displayed. So in the else, I cannot just display right away one of them. I need to ask another question. So here is the thing. I need to ask the other question. What other question can I ask? Maybe the easiest one would be solid, because if the temperature is less than 0 or equal to 0, because when it was 0, what do we want to say? Because if it's solid, when the temperature is 0 or below 0. So then I'm going to say that if the temperature is less or equal to 0, then I'm going to display what? Solid. Because I know exactly if it's less, it's going to display solid. Now, is it going to work? Well, let's try. For example, if it's -1, okay, temperature here is -1. Is -1 greater than 100? No, so I go inside the else. Inside the else, I find a question that's waiting for me. Is -1 less or equal to 0? Yes, I'm going to display solid. So this is going to work. What if, for example, I put 50? Now, is 50 greater than 100? No. Then is 50 less than 0? No. So if it's no, I can just mention, for example, if it's not less than 0, then, because I asked to know if it's vapor, and I said no. And I asked to know if it's solid, and I said no again. So what other option is left? There's only one option left, so I don't need to ask any other questions. I can ask another question if I want to, but I don't need to, because we said there are 3 possibilities. The first possibility, I prepared the question for it. And if the answer to that question is true, I'm going to display it. The second one, I prepared something for it. And if it's true, I'm going to display it. So what is left? If it's not the first one, if this is false, I go into the else. If this is false, I go into another else, and there's only one thing to do, is to display liquid.
Teacher, there's two else. Why the first else comes?
Why the two? There are two else's because this else belongs to this if, and this else is about this if. Now let's try this. I would like to see this working. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try all different possibilities. So the first possibility is to put like 120. 120 is going to give me vapor. That's nice. Why? Because is this 120 greater than 100? Yes. I get inside. If I get inside this block, I'm not going to go inside the else. So I get inside one of them. Either I get inside here or here. But in this block, I'm not getting inside because this is true. So I'm displaying vapor and I'm getting out. Now, if I run it again and display something like -5, now this -5 is displaying solid. Why? Because is -5 greater than 100? No. So the answer to this is no, right? -5, is it greater than 100? No. So I'm going to go into the else. But into the else, there's one question waiting for me. The first thing that I do inside the else is this: I need to ask another question. That other question is -5 less than or equal to 0? The answer is yes. So if it's yes, I'm going to get inside here. And again, if the answer is yes, I'm not going to get inside both of them. Just one of them is going to be executed because this is how the if else works. It just goes into one of these. So this is true, so I get inside, and then I'm going to display solid. Once I get inside, am I going to go into the else again? No, because once I finish this, I'm done. I'm finishing everything here inside this if. Is there anything else to do inside here? No, there's nothing else to do, so I finished inside this else, and there's nothing else to do, then I'm done. Now the interesting part. What if it's 25, for example? Now I'm going to ask, is 25 greater than 100? No. I'm going to get inside here. Is 25 less than 0? No. So it should be liquid. Because it's not vapor, it's not solid, it's liquid. Alright? Now, the interesting question. What if I swap these? First of all, let's see it working. Okay? This is working. 25, it's liquid. Now, what if I swap these? What should I change into the question to make this liquid into the if and solid otherwise?
Bigger than 0 and less than 100.
Bigger than 0 and less than 100. Right? But if I just make it bigger than 0, because remember, the opposite of less than or equal is just greater than. The equal sign is either one of the cases. So if it was equal, the opposite of this is lesser than. If this is the equal is there, the opposite of this is greater than. So the equal is either on one of these two. So now, isn't this enough?
No, because it will print vapor and liquid.
It's going to print vapor and liquid. Why? Because 25, for example, is greater than 0, but it's also greater than 100. And this is something I'd like you to realize. 25, is it greater than 100?
No, I mean if you put 100, yeah, print both.
If I put 100, is it going to print both? No. Normally, what should happen with 100?
Yeah, it's gonna skip.
No, 100. What do we want it to be? Vapor. So now let's just see if this is going to work. Is 100 greater or equal to 100?
Yes.
So I'm going to display vapor and stop. So this is okay. Sorry?
And the second one,
In the second if.
yes, you need to put and temperature.
But you see, I did not put it and it's still working. Why is that?
Because
It's
you
gonna skip.
want else, so the calculation is
You get some true.
it's true to stop because after that
Exactly. You see, when I'm asking this question, I need not to forget that I asked it after knowing that this is false. When I know that this is false, okay, so that means inside here the else, temperature is not greater or equal to 100. I know it, because if it was equal to greater or equal to 100, I would be here. No, I'm not there. I'm not in the if, which means I'm inside here. I'm inside the else. Which means if I'm inside the else, the temperature, I know that it is strictly less than 100. I know it because of the question that I just asked. Now, if I'm asking a second question, is temperature greater than 0? It's implicitly saying, is the temperature greater than 0, knowing it's less than 100? I know it's less than 100, and I'm asking, knowing it's less than 100, is it greater than 0? So it's impossible that I'm going to be displaying liquid for 120, because if it's 120, even if mathematically temperature greater than 0 includes 120, but this 120 is not going to reach this level. Why? Because if it was 120, this question will take it and send it to vapor. If it's not 120, now I know it's less than 100, so it's going to be here between these two. That's why, because just this question means, is the temperature greater than 0, knowing it's less than 100? So I know it's less than 100, so it's somewhere here. But if it's greater than 0, I'm sure that I'm going to be in between 0 and 100. And that's the most important part in this nested ifs that you should always remember. When I'm asking a question inside an else or inside an if, it doesn't mean that I take it into isolation of what was asked before. Okay? So that's the... So now if you look at it, if I would like to display vapor, I'm just asking, is it greater than 100 or equal? Then I always clear the right side. If I then ask, is it greater than 0? Yes, it's greater than 0, so that's the liquid. Else, there's what is left. If it's not vapor, it's not liquid, it should be solid. Now you're all happy with this, right? I'm going to check that. I'm going to call this version 1, all right? So this is, I don't know, let's call this version 1 without ln, because version 1, and then I'm going to display what is the... so this is version number 1. And I'm going to do version number 2. And I would like you to help me build this version number 2. So this version number 2 now is going to rely on this question. What if, and let me just copy this and just take it down. What if now my first question is if the temperature is greater than 0. What if I ask this as my first question? What should I do next? Can I display something? If the temperature is greater than 0, there are two cases now. So I cannot just system that out the print line something. So what should I do? No, I don't want to use and because we haven't seen it yet. This is something that we're going to see next week. So I'm not going to use something that we haven't seen. And because of your background, I want you to just know, based on only what we've seen, what is the next move. Well, else is else here, fine, but I'm still inside here. I know that the temperature is greater than 0. Okay, the else, if it's not greater than 0, only one possibility, right? So I know it's solid. Okay, fine, I cleared that out.
You put if else inside this one.
Inside,
Exactly. I need to ask a question. I cannot distinguish between the two unless I ask another question. So what would be the other question that I'm going to ask?
If it's
If the temperature is
equals 100.
less than 100.
less than 100, this is going to give you liquid. Fine. If it's less than 100, I'm going to display liquid. The same idea, I'm not going to display liquid and solid because
We know
I know it's not less than 0, because if it was less than 0, it would be here. So it's greater than 0. So if when I say the temperature is less than 100, I know that the temperature is greater, is smaller, no, it's greater than 0, strictly than 0. So because this is true, I know that if I'm asking this second question, I know that this first question was true. I don't need to forget it. So knowing that the temperature is greater than 0, now I'm asking, is the temperature less than 100? So this makes this the interval quite specific. And now I have only one option in that interval, is that liquid. If it's not less than 100, knowing that it was greater than 0, what other option is left? Vapor. And this is how I can solve the same problem in two different ways. Actually, there are many different ways. You can start with different values, but let's just try this. If I type, for example, 0, what should be the result of 0? Version 1 and version 2, both of them give me the same result. Let's just try with -5. It's the same thing. Let's try them with 25. Same thing. Let's try them with, I don't know, what do you want to try them with? 120. Both of them vapor. So it's all the same thing. But what's more important for me now is that you should be able to be flexible enough. If I add, I tell you where to start from, you should know what would be the next question that will allow you to single out one specific case. And that's what requires practice. And what I'd like to ask you, for example, as version 3, just for fun, I know that you're enjoying this, so I'm just keeping up with the challenge. So version 3, what if my question was, my first question, what if it is, and let me just copy this. It doesn't make sense, for example, for me to tell you something that is okay. Let's start with, what if the temperature is less than 100?
If
So less than 100 again, two cases.
yes, inside
So here I'm going to ask if, another question,
greater than
if the temperature is greater than 0, then it's liquid.
liquid, yes.
Else, if it's not liquid, knowing that it is less than 100, if it was not liquid, it's going to be solid. And that's very good. Now, if it's not less than 100, so it's not here, else, of this first one, the else is only one case, that's vapor. Let's try it again, just to make sure. 120, all of them vapor. I don't know, 100, they should always also give me vapor. 25, liquid. 0, I'm always trying to see also the borders, so just to make sure that they're okay. -5. So they all give me the same result, even though they're completely different type of algorithms. All right.